Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is a handover video of the Swift Kon-Tiki 784. So underneath the skirt, just behind the driver's door, is where your freshwater drain valve is. So again, it's an electronically operated valve from inside of the vehicle. You need to drain this off if you're taking on a source of contaminated water, you're not using the van for a while, or you're draining the van down for the winter to avoid the water from freezing. You would allow all the water out of your freshwater tank. So to fill your freshwater tank when you arrive at site, carry yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe fittings, as it's mainly just a brass tap provided by the site. Using the habitation key, you can unlock your filling cap, remove it, flat end of the hose into the vehicle, wait until it either overflows or until you look on your 12-volt control panel and see how much water you do have on board. If you can't get near a hose pipe, you can bring a bucket or an aqua roll full of water, put the other end of the hose into here, connect the 12-volt side to the power point and drop the pump into the water, and it will suck the water into the main freshwater tank on board. So to hook the vehicle up, whether you're charging it prior to your trip at home or you're charging it when you get to your site, it's the same way. So you get your hookup lead, lift the collar, lift the flap on the van and connect to the power point on the vehicle, and then connect to the site and do it in reverse order when unhooking so that you're never walking around with a live lead. So now on to your gas locker. So your gas locker takes two 6-kilogram propane bottles, and to connect the bottle you've got a pigtail from the regulator, so it's left to tighten, right to loosen, opposite ways with it being gas. So hand tighten as far as you can get it, and then use an adjustable spanner or a gas wrench just to nip it up. Once you've nipped it up, you can turn the bottle on, and then you do need to press the black button on the pigtail here. This is a crash valve. Without pressing this, there will be no gas coming through from the bottle, so press that for 10 seconds. It will allow the gas through into the motorhome. There's another crash valve here, so little yellow toggle, make sure it's always flush. If for whatever what reason that's popped out, press and hold for 10 seconds to do a reset. And you do have a changeover valve, so there's one pigtail fitted to the vehicle at present. If you were to fit another one on, the nib is which way the pigtail it's using. So at the minute it's using this bottle, turn it to that one, it's using that bottle. That will go to red shortly, as there's no gas supply from this side of the regulator, but there is this side. Always ensure that before you've put the pigtail on, you've put the collar around the bottle. So there's a grey collar that needs to go around the bottle first. It needs to be tied in. This keeps the bottle nice and safe and secure and stops it from tipping over while it's travelling. That needs to be on. The bottle needs to be turned off when you travel, and you can turn it back on as soon as you arrive on your site and you want to use gas. Located underneath the skirt is your wastewater disposal point. So this is your pipe work for dumping your wastewater. So this is anything you've put down a plug hole. On this vehicle, it's an electronic controlled dump. So you would open that from inside, drain your water off, but normally with the waste, you drive over a grid on the way out of the site, dump your water, leave your valve open as you travel home just to rock any loose water out, as the tank's flat, so the camber of the road will rock any loose water out, making sure that it's fully drained off in the winter to avoid any water from freezing in the wastewater tank. Here you have a point for an external shower, so there'll be a fitment with the vehicle. One side will connect to the van, the other side will have a trigger gun on the end of the hose. As long as the pump's on, you'll get a pressurised flow of water for hosing the dog off, the bikes, the boots, the kids. But this is your external shower point. Underneath the garage door on this model, you do have a wet locker. So this is a great place to store your hookup cable if it's wet, your leveling ramps, your hose pipe, anything that you don't want to get dirty within the vehicle, pop into here, and you can just wash this locker out with a hose pipe once you get home. It clips in, and then you use your Swift flip key to lock this up prior to travelling. On the back of this van, you do have a large garage space, so you've got tethering rails in the floor to tie things down that you don't want to be moving whilst travelling. You've got a radiator, so it is heated via your Aldi heating system. You do have 240 and 12 volt in at the other side, so you can charge your electric bike batteries or anything that you want to charge. Cool box in the back garage. and you've got some handy storage nets for your bits and pieces. On the back panel of the van, you've got your reversing cameras. The back panel's been strengthened to take a bike rack, which is a Thule bike rack, as it's got Thule bike rack bars on. And on the bottom, you do have rear parking sensors. To operate your cassette, again using the habitation key, you can unlock the locker door, push both catches in and release the door. Then what you want to do is you want to lift the orange handle up and slide the cassette free of the vehicle. You can either carry it or you can wheel it to your disposal point, which is normally beside your shower block. And then to get rid of your waste, take the grey cap off the spout, pop that to the aside for a moment. As you start to pour the contents of the cassette, you press the orange button. The orange button allows a bit of air in and stops it glugging, gives it a consistent flow, but only start to press that once you are pouring the liquid. Pour it all out. Once you've done that, there is normally a tap, so you put some water in, put the cap back on, give it a quick rinse, tip out again before going in. If you want to be exact, this is a 120mm measuring stick. You can measure your green or your blue chemical, or you can just put about that down there, cap back on, and it's good to go back into the van. But ask your sites which they prefer you to use, because some sites will insist on green, whilst other sites aren't bothered, and you can use green or blue on their site. Here you have an external 230 volt socket, so if you're wanting power for an outdoor grill, which is electric, or if you've got an air awning on and you want power in there, if you're on a super site, you've got power here. And next to it, you've also got an external gas point. So if you want to use your Kadak or an external barbecue, you get a fitment with the van, which is a quick release connector. Pop one end in here, the other end you'll need a length of gas hose, 2 Jubilee clips to connect, one to the barbecue, one to the quick release connector. Pops in there, and then you'll be able to turn on the valve at the top to allow gas to come to this point. Filling with fuel, you need to use your main ignition key. It's a lockable cap. You pop it in, take the cap off, fill with fuel, and then lock the cap back on. And underneath you've got AdBlue. As this is a new style diesel engine and is Euro 6 compliant, it takes AdBlue, which is a 19 litre tank. It'll come up on the dash when it tells you need AdBlue and give you a 1,000-mile countdown, but on whole, the full tank of AdBlue should last you 5,500 miles. So on the slam panel of the van, you can find your tyre pressures at the bottom, which is 5.5 bar front and back, which is 79.5 psi. And you can also find your new weight sticker. This is a stage 3 conversion from Swift, so it will be first stage will be Fiat, second stage will be Alco, and then third stage will be Swift, as it's now classified as a motorhome on an Alco chassis. The weight of this vehicle is 4.5 tonne. The train weight of this vehicle, which is the motorhome, whatever its tone, is 6 tonnes, so it gives you a 1,500 kilogram tone limit, and you've got a front and back axle weight. Under the seat, on the passenger seat, you do have your toolkit. So this lifts off, this slides out, and you've got a jack and a brace and a tone eye in the toolkit. In the cab floor, this is the location of your engine battery, so it's not underneath the bonnet. On a Fiat, it's underneath the floor, so you gain access by lifting this up to the main battery. And then on the side of the dashboard, you do have your bonnet release. Now underneath the bonnet, you do have your fluids this side, so you've got your screen wash, which is the main one you're going to need, which is above the driver's headlight. Then if you lift these 3 tabs off, and this part of the scuttle lifts out, you can fill your coolant. Next to it, you've got your brake fluid. You've got your engine oil filler. There's no dipstick and there's no power steering fluid now, so the dipstick's remotely through the dash. The power steering fluid is no longer on the Series 8, it's electronic steering rack. You've got an earth for giving or receiving a jump start, so you put your black clip on there, and then next to your air filter, which is here, put your key or a flat screwdriver in here and lift this back. This is your positive for giving or receiving a jump start on this point here. So you don't need to go direct at the battery, you can go underneath the bonnet should you wish. And again, another weight plate sticker there. So this is an Alco weight plate sticker, as it's on an Alco chassis, and that just gives the same weight as your Swift Stage 3 sticker on the passenger door. So now on board the vehicle, to operate the Swift control panel, your on-off switch is here, which is your master switch. So you just press that and you can turn it off, press it again and you can turn it back on. It then brings you into the main menu. So you can go to lights, entry light, you can select your dimmers, dimmer 1 and dimmer 2, and you can pop these on. And you can select your on and light. So just highlighting them means they're on. When they're blank, it means they're off. Power, so you can see that your leisure battery is charging at 13 volts and there's currently 2.2 of an amp coming in, and that's your load, and 0.3 from your solar, but ignore the solar because it does go to sleep when hooked up because it can't compete with mains 230 volt. And it also tells you your vehicle battery status of 12.8 volts, so it's good. You can change it over by selecting the one that's illuminated. So now that's charging the vehicle battery, sorry, and not the leisure. So if it was standing over the winter on the driveway, you might want to do a week on the leisure, a week on the vehicle, or 2 days, vice versa, just so both batteries are still taking a charge, so you don't get a flat battery. But you always want it onto the leisure when using it. Mains capacity, so you're getting 100% from the mains, and it's bringing 16 amp in. There's no, you can set a limit there of the load if you want abroad and you want a smaller CL site or an air to stop it blowing the van. You can put a limit on. Then you go to your water. So it's telling you your level of your fresh, so 75% of fresh water, 25% of waste. If you're away in the winter and it was potentially going to freeze overnight, when using the van you can put your tank heaters on, which heats the tanks to stop the water from freezing. When not using it, drain the vehicle down. Turning your pump on will give you a pressurised flow of water to the taps, toilet, shower and external shower. Without this being on, you will get no flow of water to the taps, but please make sure you've got water on board before turning the pump on, otherwise you will damage the pump. If you want to fill from the 12 volt pump point outside, if you can't get the hose to the van, you need to turn this one on, which is fill. You press drain for the fresh and drain for the waste to get rid of your water, and it will open your electronic controlled valves underneath the vehicle and get rid of the fresh or the waste water. But make sure you get rid of your waste before you leave your site, because you don't want to be carrying that round because it will use more fuel. And then you can control the fridge from the control panel as well. So you can turn your fridge off. When you've got it off with the fridge, leave the door open to allow ventilation to stop smells and mold from forming with the door closed, because it will get no ventilation in there. You can put on auto, and what auto does is it finds the best source available at the motorhome at any one time. So at present on auto, that'll be using mains 230 volt. If I was to unhook the van, it would switch over to gas because my gas bottle's on and it's turned on. Or if I was to start the engine of the vehicle, it will go on to 12 volt and it'll do it all by itself. It'll detect which source is available. Note that the 12 volt isn't off the leisure battery, it's off the vehicle battery when the vehicle is switched on and running. So that will only work to maintain the temperature of the fridge when travelling from site to keep your shopping nice and fresh, or if you've pre-chilled it at home, put your shopping in the night before and now you're driving to your first site, it will keep it nice and cool when travelling. Temperature, so you can go from 1 to 5. You might want to have it on 5 when pre-chilling on the driveway. Once it's down to temperature, you can turn it down and pop your shopping in so it doesn't freeze. And this tells you the temperature that the fridge is currently at. So it's at its optimum temperature. So it'll say warm when you first start and it will then get cooler. So that just lets you know what temperature the fridge is currently at, and that is your Dometic fridge. You go into your settings and you can turn your key beep on and off if it's annoying. You can pair your phones to it by Bluetooth, and you've got all your control panel details this side. To control your Aldi control panel, you press here to turn on. It will bring you to the main menu. So you can see there that it's 13 degrees inside the vehicle. It's hooked up because it's got the picture of the hookup. It tells you the time in the top right hand corner, and it's circulating on the indoor temperature at 13 degrees. If you press here first, you'll be able to adjust the temperature to suit. So you can set it to the maximum at 30 degrees. And the top temperature there at 13 is telling you that what it's currently at. So you just press the plus and the minus to get to the temperature that you want the inside of the van to be. The energy source, so you have electric on 1 kilowatt, which is 750 watts, 2 kilowatts, which is 1500 watts, or 3 kilowatts, which is 300 watts, and you can change, or 3000 watts even, you can change that by just moving it down the scale. And if you were while camping, you would have the electric off and the gas on, and it's dead easy to put the gas on. You just need to flick the switch. But if you want to get your vehicle up to temperature quicker in the winter, I would suggest that you put the electric and gas on together for the first half an hour, 40 minutes, and then turn your gas off and allow the electric to continue to heat the van. But don't waste your gas when you've paid for your site fee, so just allow it to boost it and then turn it off and allow the electric to continue, because that's what you've paid for. Hot water, so if you've got no water in the boiler, you'd have it off. You can have it on and it will heat the vehicle and heat the water together. Or you can have it on boost, which is a 30-minute setting, and it will prioritise all the heat to the water by stopping the heating. You can set day and night mode. So day mode, you might want it to be 20 degrees inside the vehicle. Night mode, you might want it to be 15. It will ask you which temperature, and it'll ask you how long you want it to run it for and which days. So you can set that so that it will automatically just drop down on a night, so it's not too hot for you, and then during the day, say at 7 o'clock, it will warm the vehicle up for you getting up. So you can set them by just pressing and going into day mode there, and night mode. You can turn your hot water on and off, and then you can, if you ever need to reset the control panel, there's your reset button. So you just press reset, and then it'll ask you if you want to do a reset, and it will turn the control panel off and completely turn it back on. So that means you'd have to set your temperature, your energy source, and your hot water all again. But that is your Aldi control panel. The switch located in the kitchen is your table control. So as long as you've got power on, 12 volt, you'll be able to press up and down and adjust the table in the lounge. You do also have a fuse for it here, so if the fuse does blow, it's a 10 amp fuse, so carry some spare fuses with you for all electrical equipment, but you just pick the fuse out and replenish the fuse here for the electrically operated table. So now in the kitchen, so you do have 3 gas burners and 1 electric hot plate. The electric hot plate is a mains 230 volt appliance, so that will only work when you're hooked up. So you can use that to save your gas when on site, but if you are well camping, you will have to use the burners. That's the electric hot plate there. Do just make sure it's always off before you hook the vehicle up, because there's nothing that tells you that it's on, and you want to make sure everything's cool before you put the lid down, otherwise you may shatter the glass with the heat. There's your two burners. 3 there, so you've got 3 gas burners, 1 electric hot plate, which is there. Oven light. And there's your oven away at the back. And above, you've got your grill.
There's your grill working. You may just want to hold this in a little bit longer so that the burner gets warm before releasing, otherwise it may go out if it's cold. So that's your oven, which is a Fedford oven. All your details for your oven are here. If you ever need any parts, we will require numbers, drawer for storage, storage down the side, which is where your sink cover, chopping board, drainer is, cutlery drawer. Make sure the catches are pushed in before travelling. This will secure them into the frame, stop them opening, and the soft close as well. Storage, and some more storage. Plug for your microwaves in there, but this is the new Dometic microwave, so it doesn't have a plate in, so there's nothing to rattle. It's a heat pad. So there is your new styled microwave, and you just, to set this, just press instant start, and it goes up in 10-second intervals, but always starts on a minute. Or you can program the time in there as well. So this is your Dometic fridge, which can be controlled through the control panel, which I've already shown you, or you can control it here. So you've got your on off, your mode and your temperature all on here, which is a flush panel. The only time you may want to turn it from auto is when it's gone from travelling on 12 volt with the engine running to gas. It does wait on gas 20 minutes before lighting, and that is because in case you've forgot to isolate the gas cylinder and you've knocked the engine off in a petrol station and you're about to fill up with diesel, the last thing you want is it to then light on gas. So it does wait 20 minutes before doing this function. To change it, you just press mode and you can override it by manually selecting gas and taking it off automatic. Beauty with this fridge is, if you're cooking, you can get to this side, or if you want a cold refreshment from the back lounge on this model, you can get from this side as well. Like I say, always make sure it's left open when not using, so that air can circulate in and out of the fridge. And all you need to do is, there's a little tab here, you want to pull it out. So depending on which way, there's one on each side. As the door's double hinged, you just pull this out, and then that would go onto there, and it would stop the door from closing.
So located just beside your lounge, if you pull this forward, this is your Sargent power supply unit, which is the AC400. So you do have all your 12 volt fuses here, which run your 12 volt items off your leisure battery, which are all listed here. So do carry some spare blade fuses with you, just in case a fuse does blow. You'll notice as well, you'll get a red light underneath the fuse to show that it's blown and it needs replacing. You've got this black button here, which is a system shutdown button, so if you're storing the vehicle you can turn that off. That is like a main 12 volt battery isolation switch, but it does stop the solar panel from charging the leisure battery. So if there is a solar panel fitted, which there is, you want to ensure that this is turned on. This side you do have your trips, so you've got your main RCD and your MCB. So if you think you're not receiving power, try tripping the van first. If you've tripped the van, look here before you look at your site, as you may have tripped the motorhome and not the site, or you may have done it the other way around. And when hooked up, these will light up. So you've got your charger, which lights up green, which charges your leisure battery when hooked up, and you've got your heating and hot water. This needs to be on, so just leave it pushed in, and this will allow the 240 volt side of the things to run the heating and hot water. When storing it with no water in, you might want to turn this off. So to create your 2 extra travelling seats in the rear of the vehicle, what you'll need to do is remove all the cushions. And here you have a seat back base. So if you use this black lever, slide it back, pull the backrest of the seat up, You'll need to put the infill cushion in, which can be found in the garage of the wardrobe, which has got Velcro on. This goes at the very back of the seat, just underneath the Isofix mounting points. And then you would use one of your backrests that's hard backed. That goes on as the base cushion. And your backrest goes on as the back of the seat, or should I say your base goes on as the back of the seat. And there you have one fully assembled travelling seat with Isofix pointing and a 3-point seat belt. So to assemble the front bed, it's a lot easier if you lift your base cushions out the way, so it gives you ample space to drop the table. The table is electric on 12 volts, so make sure your 12 volt system's on. Press the button in the kitchen area and you'll be able to drop the table down. Once the table's down into position, you need to pull out the extension and then fold over the tabletop. There's 2 stoppers this side, 1 this side. It just allows the weight to be bared better on the tabletop. That's now into position. So this is how the bed would assemble. So you can either put your backrests at the back and push them far enough in, as there's a little notch on the back of the backrest cushions, and put the bases forward, or you can put the base cushions back, but they do need pushed underneath this lip. There's about a couple of mil lip between the board and the base, so push them back and then you'll be able to put your backrest in at the middle. There is also a slide out flap at this side above your consumer unit, which I'll show you in a moment where your consumer unit is, but that slides out. There's a flap that lifts back over to fill the void here and just allows this cushion to have a bit extra support, so when you're getting in and out of the bed, the cushion's not flipping off. On the other side of your washroom, you do have your shower cubicle. So it's very important that you don't clean your shower cubicle out with any harsh chemicals, because you could damage the finish. So no bleach used, no harsh scourers, just microfiber cloths, Dettol spray or Fairy Up liquid is good enough to clean out this shower facility. Make sure when you're travelling, your screen is tied back. So you'd pull this out to allow the screen to be used, push it in, and this will lock it into place for whilst travelling. You've got a hanging rail here, which is great for wet towels, but also doubles up if you've been caught in the rain. So hang your wet coats on hangers on here, and then they will drip dry into the shower tray. Remembering when you winterize, you want to leave all the taps within the vehicle open, and don't forget about your shower head. So what you need to do with your shower head is remove the head from the hose and lie the hose down in the shower tray so that the bend in the pipe at the bottom doesn't hold any water in and cause any damage to the pipe. So just unscrew it, lie it down, leave all the mixer taps open in the middle position, and this will stop any air locking and any water potentially freezing in any pipes around the vehicle. So as this vehicle is fitted with an Aldi heating system, it has an expansion tank which holds G30 in coolant, which can be found in here. So it's always best that you run the system up first, as it is an expanding liquid, before ever thinking about topping it up. So it might read closer to minimum than max when off, but once it's on, it might be slightly above max like it is there. If you do need to top it up, if you look on Aldi's website, they do recommend theirs and 5 other brands of coolant that you can use, and they warrant. Allow the coolant system to cool down before removing the cap and topping it up. It has a 5-year lifespan, so every 5 years the liquid does need fully drained out of the vehicle and replenished with new. Just as overuse of heating up and cooling down all the time, it can lose some of its coolant properties and allow a little bit of water in there, which defeats the object. As this system is more like a central heating system and doesn't need drained down apart from the boiler, it has coolant which can be found in here. So on the back of this model, you do have your 2 single beds. Underneath you can find storage this side, which also has your boiler at the bottom, which I'll explain shortly. how to drain off your boiler. The Avtex telly is an option for this particular customer. This is a generic video. And then this side you do have your wardrobe with slide out rail, so it means getting things at the back of the wardrobe is made dead easy by sliding the rail out into the space so that you're not having to get in amongst the wardrobe. At the back you'll see that there is individual reading lights above the headboards, where there is also speakers from the front radio. You do have two twin USBs as well as your two 30-volt socket when you hooked up. That'll work for powering a mains charger or appliance in the bedroom. In the centre of the steps you've got storage for shoes and bits and pieces that you want to store, along with some slide out drawers. You've got 4 of them, but make sure that you are pushing the catches in before you set off so that nothing springs open.